Humdrumity, humdrumity, humdrumity.
Hey there. Travel is obviously one of the best ways to break out of our daily routines. But if you regularly suffer from humdrumity, this can become an expensive proposition. Tim Walker is a travel hacker extraordinaire who turned his desire for free travel into a side hustle to help others satiate their wanderlust through exponentially collecting travel points. Just for context, I recorded this interview with Tim as part of my previous series on travel. I never released the interview as it was a bit short, so I'm putting it out as a bonus episode to help you get out and join the jet-setting crowd. Tune in to find out about Mrs. Walker's surprising historical interest. All right, let the hackathon begin. Hey, Tim. Thanks for joining me on Humdrumity today. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Now tell me, you are a travel hacker. Can you tell me exactly what a travel hacker is and how we can travel hack?
Absolutely. So a travel hacker is essentially someone who has learned how to travel the world for free. So travel hacking is a strategic process of layering and leveraging credit card rewards for thousands of dollars in free travel. So I went from a place of being burned out and broke, unable to travel and discouraged by that reality to mastering travel hacking. And now my family has the freedom to travel all over the world for free.
So this is something anyone obviously can participate in.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
how do we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So really what I encourage people to do is really follow a 3-step process. Step one is figure out your travel goals and dream big. Think about where do you want to go? What do you want to do? There's no one size fits all method for travel hacking. It's not just for flights or cruises or house rentals or resorts. You can really do whatever you want to do, wherever you want to do it, and however you enjoy traveling. So step one is really define your travel goals. Step two would be earning points that align with those travel goals. So if you're somebody who loves to fly, earning airline points makes a lot of sense. If flying terrifies you and you're never going to get on an airplane, then earning airline points wouldn't really be all that great. So you're earning points. And then step three is maximizing the value of those points. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. A lot of people have some level of familiarity with credit card points or airline miles or those types of things. But most people end up sacrificing those for a fraction of the value of what they're actually worth. But if you do those three things, define your travel goals, earn points, maximize the value of those points, you can travel the world for free.
And what are some of the means you can maximize the points?
Yeah, so really learning to maximize it is figuring out how do I get the best value for that. So there's a key principle that I often teach people that not all points are created equal. So a lot of people, what they will do is they will earn points, and then they'll do something like cash in those points for gift cards at like holiday times. Well, when you do that, you're getting less than a penny per point value in that. In contrast, if you find, hey, I could use those points and transfer those to an airline partner, and I could get 8 cents per point value on a business class flight crossing the ocean. So the gap between those two is really where it really separates the amateurs that waste their points from those who really like maximize their points and learning how to do that along the way.
Right. So is it mostly just through applying for various credit cards? Like, what is the best method for accruing these points?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to do it is to be able to, sign up for new credit cards and be able to do it in a way where you're just maximizing your everyday spending. So maybe that's on your gasoline, your groceries, your cell phone bill, your subscriptions. Maybe if you have your own business expenses, things like that. And when you do that, you end up earning all kinds of points along the way through what's called a welcome bonus.
Hmm.
So for instance, first and best card I recommend every person getting into travel hacking is the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. If you get that card and you spend $5,000 in your first 3 months, you earn 60,000 points as a bonus with that. Now, those 60,000 points could be worth $600 cash back, or they could be worth $1,200 to $1,500 in free travel. Bonus tip is if you're married or you have a significant other that shares an address with you, then what you could do is you could sign up for that card, not add them as an authorized user, refer them to get that same card. You're going to get a 10,000 point referral bonus, and then they can equally get that 60,000 point bonus as well. And now, as a couple, you're starting out with about 150,000 travel points that you could use to transfer to all kinds of different airline or hotel partners to be able to use around the world.
So just to confirm now, you're based out of the United States.
Yeah.
Do a lot of these, your tips and tricks work primarily for US citizens, or can you be, I'm in Canada.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I can apply for a Chase credit card or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say travel hacking is something that is done by people on every continent. So it's not specific to like a particular country or like currency system. There are some nuances to it. So I would say the general pathway of define your travel goals, earn the points, maximize those points. Yeah, that's transferable to anybody anywhere. But the specifics of how all of that works out, in your case, being in Canada, if you would say, hey, I can't get a Chase card as a Canadian, that's okay. There are other banks that offer travel rewards credit cards that you could get, and looking at, hey, which of those best align with my travel goals, and what could it look like for me to leverage some of those welcome bonuses, some of those referral bonuses, maybe category bonuses. Some cards give you extra spending on grocery or extra points on groceries or dining or subscriptions or some of those things. And so the system is really transferable worldwide. But the uniqueness of what I teach a lot of my travel hacking students to do would be pretty much concentrated within that US ecosystem, even though the system is transferable elsewhere as well.
Right, and I do want to get to some of the training and courses you offer, but just back to with credit cards, is there any way? So, say you're carrying, debt on a credit card, and then you're going to transfer to a new credit card, and a lot of credit cards will allow you to, transfer that debt over, give you a quote unquote more preferable rate. Is that a way to also help accrue the credit card points? Because first of all, you spent the money on the one credit card and got the points. Now you take that balance and shift it over to another credit card. Can you then use that balance to and start paying it off on the second credit card and accrue points on that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So the answer in pretty much 99% of cases would be no.
Hmm.
So points are generated off of credit card transactions, not necessarily off of credit card balances. Every great once in a while, you might stumble across an offer or a deal where they say, hey, if you transfer a balance onto this airline or hotel or travel credit card, we'll give you some points for that. But typically they don't. You earn the points on each new transaction you make.
So previously, when we started our conversation, you mentioned you were in a space where you're kind of burnt out. You didn't feel you could travel anywhere. How did you get into travel hacking, and what was the impetus for you to begin this endeavor that you're on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have a huge passion for poverty alleviation. I work in the nonprofit arena doing community development work. And so my family intentionally lives and leads in the poorest neighborhood in my city. So we walk alongside of a lot of our friends and are able to help them get out of homelessness or addiction, reintegrate into society after incarceration. Maybe they're coming out of gangs or prostitution, and we're helping them to really stabilize and live healthier lives moving forward, which is incredible. But the thing about that type of lifestyle, that type of leadership is there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of crisis, there's a lot of difficulty that comes with that. And oftentimes what you find is there's a compassion fatigue that comes with that. That
Mm.
when you're just always pouring out for other people, but you're not really being replenished at a certain point, man, if you bleed for everything, you're going to bleed out. And so it just felt like year over year, we're crushed under the weight of this compassion fatigue and felt like we had to beg, borrow, and barter just to get a vacation. Like, hey, does anybody want to like help our family out and be generous or take pity on our situation? And I remember the breaking point for me was somebody had given us a beach house on the east coast of the United States, right on the Atlantic Ocean. We were so excited. We drive there. They'd given us a beach house for 10 days. And so we get there and we walk in the front door, and this place was literally mold filled, mosquito
Mm.
infested. It was disgusting. So, what we hoped would be a refreshing vacation ended up turning into my wife and I taking the first 2 full days of vacation and scrubbing this disgusting place. And I remember for me, like that was my breaking point
Mm.
where I was like, I can't do this. Like this, I'm gonna go home more exhausted than I left. And I remember even as a dad looking at it, like I've got 2 little girls, and I remember looking and going, man, I don't want my kids to grow up and go, hey, remember how dad used to take us on crap vacations because we were like in the thick of like urban development in our city and couldn't afford anything better? And so that breaking point really led me to a point of desperation where I was like, I have to figure out a solution to this. And in a lot of ways, I would say my desperation ended up eclipsing my skepticism because I
Mm.
had heard about credit card points and miles. I was loosely familiar with travel hacking. I'd hear people talk about or post about those things. I go, man, that just sounds too good to be true. But I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. So I did. And I ended up earning 1.2 million travel rewards points in my first 9 months.
Wow.
And I was like, this is incredible. Now we have the freedom of free travel. We don't have to settle for budget airlines and red eye flights. We don't have to, settle for off-season travel where we travel to places after like the town's kind of closed up for the season. But now we can actually take not just nice vacations, but multiple vacations a year and vacations that actually like replenish us and make some really great memories for our family. So that's how I got into it. I started doing it, mastered it for myself personally, started showing some family and friends how to do it. They were really impressed. And then I ended up turning it into a business where I'm able to coach all kinds of people to be able to unlock the secrets of free travel as well, just like we did.
Just for the listeners, where can they go to find your travel insights?
Yeah. So my website is travelmultiplier.com. So you could go there. On there, I offer a number of free tips, tools, best practices. You can follow along with my weekly newsletter that I write. Maybe you, like me, are a little bit of a skeptic. And so one of the things you'll find a free guide on there called The Skeptic's Guide to Travel Hacking, where I walk through some of the most common objections that I faced and that I find with people, kind of bust those myths, and then tell some success stories where actually the exact opposite is true for people. So you can get that as well. And then if you're interested, I offer a travel hacking course called Becoming a Travel Hacker: How to Unlock the Secrets of Free Travel. And I walk people step by step from start to finish, how to be able to earn points, maximize what they earn, maximize the value of those, and be able to enjoy the freedom of free travel.
Right. And so you can hire you as a coach.
Yeah. So my 2 options are there's an on-demand course that you can take. And the way I say that is if you're a strategic thinker if you're somebody who wants to really understand the whole system of travel hacking and how to leverage it for yourself, take the course. And in that, you're the pilot, I'm the navigator.
Mm.
But sometimes I find other people are like, dude, I gotta be honest, I don't have the time or interest in a course. Just tell me what to do. So for that, I developed travel hacking coaching. And with that, I'm the pilot. You're the passenger, and you get to really borrow from my expertise and mastery as I kind of coach you through what card to get next, how to fulfill your travel dreams, all of that along the way.
So, as a result of your mastery of travel hacking, what has travel become for you and your family? What does it represent in your life now?
Yeah, I would say there's two main things for us. One would be it represents an opportunity for us to make memories.
Mm.
There's just something really special about getting out of your context, breaking out of your culture, like experiencing something out of the everyday norms, kind of breaking that monotony in a lot of ways. And so there's something really powerful about that to be able to create memories and be able to go and do incredible things. So in a lot of ways, like I love that my kids are now telling all kinds of stories about all kinds of incredible places we've been able to go and things that they're dreaming of for the future. So
Mm.
one of the things I've told my girls is, hey girls, just so you know, when you turn 18 years old, dad will take you anywhere in the world you want to go. It's going to be a special daddy-daughter trip to celebrate your 18th birthday. Like, so I love that they have that to look forward to. So I think for one, travel is really memorable for us. It's about making memories. Second for us is about refreshment and just
Mm.
replenishment. Like we just pour out so much and so often for so many people. Um, Oftentimes I find that travel, yes, there are like adventurous, exploratory like opportunities that we have, but I would say like my first goal in travel is not to go somewhere else and be busy. My first goal is to go to a really refreshing, relaxing place that like, wow, this is incredible to be able to experience a new place and a new culture and be able to be refreshed and really come back healthier than when we left home.
Yeah, I always say to Mrs. Humdrumity, I like to alternate my vacations. I like to do, say, a relaxing vacation. Maybe you go to an all-inclusive and just sit by the pool and, enjoy your drinks and all you can eat, and then followed up by an adventure vacation. Now, for you and with your young daughters, are you using this travel as an opportunity as a learning experience as well?
Yeah, we are. Um, I'll talk about the kids in a minute. I'm about to go on kind of an exploration of Europe here in August. So this year, my wife and I celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary,
Well,
and we
congratulations.
decided, thank you, we decided to celebrate. We're going to go to Europe for 2 weeks. So my wife loves World War II history. She was an elementary school teacher, spent a lot of time studying World War II. And so we're going to fly from the United States over to Amsterdam. We're going to fly in lay flat business class seats for free,
Oh,
which I'm
wow.
pretty excited about.
Yeah.
We're gonna land in Amsterdam. We're gonna explore like the Anne Frank house, Corrie ten Boom house. We'll go over to Poland. My wife is Polish. Our family has Polish roots, so we're gonna go there, explore Krakow, visit Auschwitz, which will be a really sobering experience. We're gonna go through Prague in the Czech Republic, hit Austria and Vienna and Salzburg in Austria, go up to southern Germany with more of like the castles and the ancient German history, and then conclude in Lucerne and Zurich, Switzerland. So I'm excited about that, just to be able to explore kind of the adventure of like experiencing all those different cultures, the rich history, a lot of significant moments, that happened in the past century there in particular. So I think that's going to be really cool. And then I've kind of been dreaming about a trip with my kids to really explore some of like the outdoor like national park scene in the United States, like the
Mhm.
Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Yellowstone, some of those places, because my kids love the outdoors.
Yeah, now it's interesting that you mention about your upcoming trip to Europe and the places that you'll be visiting, because this ties in with my interview with Chad Scott regarding dark tourism. So, you say you're going to go to Krakow, Auschwitz, even Anne Frank's house. So, these are obviously sites of what would be considered, definitely trauma, definitely, significant pieces of history. Did that idea of dark tourism play into your desire to go there? And what are you hoping to come away with as far as understanding and further insights into humanity from visiting
Yeah,
these places?
yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I wouldn't say the goal was, to pursue those things necessarily. But I do think like my wife and I have such like a rich appreciation for history. In a lot of ways, I believe the best futurists are the best historians. Like those that can look back and understand where we came from, what was significant, and what led to some of those key moments, both the highs and the lows, the successes and the atrocities. Some of those things I think are really important. And so I do think that there's so much fascinating history that we can learn from World War II, from what happened in Germany, from the Holocaust, and so many things. Like there are there are lessons that we can and should learn from that and should never forget.
Hmm.
And so I do think that there's a sobering, gravity to that to be able to learn about and to not go there with like this sensationalized like mindset, but like these aren't just like words on a textbook. These were like the real lives and real stories of people who lived not too many decades prior to us. Like this isn't
Hmm.
like we're not talking about the medieval era here with like World War II and the Holocaust. That was, within the past century. And so thinking about that and being able to just process through the gravity of that, like that's a really formative experience that I think can shape us and really ground us to some of the realities that those before us have endured.
Now, just on a lighter note, it's very interesting that you said your wife is big into World War II, because in my experience, you don't meet a lot of women that are interested in World War II, and you can discuss, some of the battles, maybe even some of the, military armaments and things like that. It was interesting. I was talking with one of my colleagues at work, and she it revealed to me that yeah, she as well was big into World War II, and she was recently at Pearl Harbor. She loved all the, the photographs she took there, and experiencing that bit of history. So, are you yourself also big into, sort of World War II history? And do you find that, maybe is that something you share in common with your wife? Is that something unique that you two share?
Yeah, in some ways, I would say for me, it's not necessarily as much of a specific interest as it is for her. Like I would say, her interest is really concentrated on World War II. I would say for me, like I love being a student of culture.
Mm,
I love being able to look at all kinds of different, historical moments. So I love looking at those historical moments and going, hey, not just World War II, but like I think in one way I'm kind of most excited to see some of the like German castles
mm.
that were like far predated like World War II. Like I'm pretty excited to be able to see some of the history and the architecture and the culture that even surrounded that time period as well. So yeah, I think my wife and I have a common love for learning. Like we just we're both very driven people. We both really enjoy exploring new places, learning new things, discovering new knowledge. Yeah, and so yeah, I think in that way, like we're pretty excited to be able to see that across Europe.
Yeah, I think we do need to remember that Germany had more of a history than what happened between World War One and World War Two, and
Yeah.
that there is a lot of interesting things beyond that time frame that happened in that area. Okay, so just as we're finishing up our conversation here, I'd just like to ask you, back to travel hacking, what is the biggest myth that you would like to bust about travel hacking?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably the biggest myth is that you have to sign up for all kinds of credit cards. So sometimes people hear it and they get really overwhelmed and they think it sounds really complex, which seems really confusing and demotivating. The reality is quality matters more than quantity.
Mm,
And so to be able to look at it's not about getting a large quantity of cards. It's really about engaging the quality of like what's the best card to get. So when you start there, you start to learn how it works. You see it can appear from a distance to be really confusing and complex. But when you get an up close and personal look at it and experience with it, you go, this is really clear. This is really simple. This is really easy. And it's a really smooth process. And so I think overcoming that myth changes so many things. And then if your listeners are interested in looking at more of the myths, feel free to check out that Skeptic's Guide to Travel Hacking. There's a number of other ones in there as well.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I hope you have a fantastic trip and all your future places that you're going to visit.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're still here. Why aren't you out there traveling yet? Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop to collect those free points, you could miss them. My thanks to Tim Walker and his patience in waiting for this episode to air. Check out Tim's website to find free resources and information on the services he provides at travelmultiplier.com. Until we meet again, take care.